Jimmy, you don't develop on the bench anywhere. I don't care where you're training. You just don't develop. You got to play games. And maybe now that one, I'm excited about that one probably the most.
All right, let's get into more deadline day news. We're going to give some grades on American moves in particular. Now, we want grades. So everybody give a grade in the chat right now. We're going to do some notable European moves first. Leonard Maloney went from Heidenheim to Mainz. All right. I think Mainz is a better team than Heidenheim. So you're going from fighting relegation to a club that's it's scrappy and fun to watch at times too. I don't know if they're going to break into Europe or not, but my only concern with Leonard Maloney is less playing time. He was the guy at Heidenheim. He might not be the guy at Mainz. James Sands, I like this one a lot, and we have a couple games of evidence that this has been a nice fit for him. I like that's an A. Maloney, I'll say like a B-, because if he doesn't play a lot, then maybe that doesn't help. Christian McFarland goes from New York City FC to Manchester City. I've seen a couple players fall through the cracks there. Eric Palmer Brown comes to mind, so I'm curious if where he gets loaned to and what that looks like. John Tolkin, Red Bulls to Holstein Kiel, $2.5 million transfer fee. As we mentioned, played against Bayern Munich this past weekend. And then Caleb Wiley got recalled from Strasbourg in Liga, where he only played 6 games, like 240-ish minutes. And Chelsea's like, not good enough. So now he's going to Watford in the championship. Ultimately, I like all these moves, right? It's a new experience, new opportunity to grow and to get better at your craft. And these are all going to be maybe B- is a little harsh on Leonard Maloney, but I'll say B or higher for all these moves that we just saw there on the full screen. Where are you on these, Tones? Or anybody stand out?
Yeah. First off, on the McFarland one, this one's interesting, man, because City's going to loan him out, but he has. You said you saw him play a couple times. Yeah. I think that this is a massive, massive move. Of course, they're going to loan him out somewhere, as you mentioned. I'm hoping Girona, but he has a very Alphonso Davies profile to his game. He loves to get forward. He gets forward at speed. He's still raw. Got to see him play quite a bit last year in the moments that he had, and he was fun to watch. The James Sands one, I think, for me right now, is like an A or an A+, whatever you want to call it, because he's going there and he's playing. He came in as a sub his first game when he was on the bench, and it seems like he's fitting in nicely there. Who else do we have? Maloney to Mainz. I don't know much about what Mainz looks like. I guess this one for me, Jimmy, I'm gonna. It sounds like a good move, but of course it gets better. Whatever grade you give it, it gets better if he's playing.
Got to be playing,
right?
Yeah. So
Tolkien,
just to give it right really quick, Heidenheim's in 16th. Okay, so they're in the relegation playoff spot. Mainz is in 6th, 1 point off of, or 2 points off top 4. So Mainz is having a pretty good season, and they're bringing in Maloney to strengthen and bolster their squad. Totally get why they did it. I just don't know if he's going to play as much. And so, yeah. Anyway, just wanted to.
Right. Yeah, no. Okay. That's that. You bring it to a team that's going to compete at least for a European spot. Looks like they're going to compete for a European spot here in the last part of the season. But you're right. Is it for cover or is it to start? Mm-hmm. Right. So that's the question. The Tolkien. So he's been at Holstein Kiel for like 2 weeks, and he gets his first start. So that's a good move. Okay, not a great result on the weekend, but I don't know that any of us expected, the way their season is gone, that this would be that he'd be the guy to turn it around. So the question with the Tolkien one is if they get relegated, right, and what it looks like for Tolkien playing in the 2 Bundesliga. Who else am I missing? Oh, Caleb Wiley. Yeah, this one's interesting, right? They recall him because I'm going to guess, they probably believe in him, but where he wasn't getting enough minutes, so they got to find a better spot for him. I love for young defenders. I get to watch the championship every week because, we cover it, obviously, and I think it's a great league for young defenders, man. Because it's such a transition game in the championship, you're constantly defending, man. Right. You're never taking your foot off the gas pedal. You got to be tuned in all the time. So for a young defender, I think this one could be a good move. Again,
they also
got to play.
They play a 3-4-2-1, right? So he can be in those wingback positions.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's nice to see Chelsea obviously doing their homework and trying to find a situation that works for him. Right now, the guy that would play in front of him, at least on the right side, you can put him on the left side. They're both pretty young, 2021. So it could be a good opportunity for him once he gets settled in to get some legitimate minutes. Right now, Watford are currently in 12th.
Yeah, they're having a little. Yeah, there's been some tough moments.
They were okay for a little bit, and now they've lost 3 straight games. They're on 41 points, only 3 points behind the 6th spot. That's West Brom. So still in the conversation to potentially get in the championship playoff, but got some work to do. So we'll see if they can turn it around. And then let's get into some MLS then moves. This was all of our kind of European-based ones, but MLS moves. We have Jack McGlynn. We talked about that. Philly Union to Houston Dynamo, $2 million transfer fee and the 50% sell-on clause. Luca De La Torre coming to San Diego FC from Celta Vigo. It's a loan with a purchase option. He's a San Diego native, so very cool story there. Brandon Vazquez from Monterrey to Austin FC. They need a big, strong striker. They got a big, strong striker. We'll see how that goes. Jalen Neal, LA Galaxy to Montreal. And then Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas to the Seattle Sounders. They also got Paul Arriola there too. So Seattle just coming for Dallas's best players and trying to strengthen their own squad. I like the moves that Seattle are doing, to be honest. I don't know what kind of grades you would give those, but I think what's been fun with this new mechanism to make intra-league trades more viable, more sensible, we're starting to see some cool movements, right? It felt like you either had to stick with your team or had to be some complicated mechanism in place to get to somewhere else. You had to be a free agent or whatever it is. And now for me, it makes MLS more fun when you can have guys maybe going to different teams and changing the personality and DNA, what they look like, or strengthening their squad. I think with these additions with Jesus Ferreira and Arriola, Seattle becomes really good. We saw Dom Kinnear for years, even when he took over Houston Dynamo, where he's like, I'm just going to go get hardworking American guys, going to sprinkle in the De Rosarios and the guys who can pull the strings and make some magic, and they won trophies, and I think there's still a lot of value in doesn't always have to be hardworking Americans. You can get hardworking players everywhere, but I remember Dom relied on that a lot to have success in MLS.
Yeah, it was important to him. I like this Jalen Neal one. We talked to Greg Vanny. I was down at MLS Media Day, whatever that was, a couple of weeks ago, and I got to talk to Greg Vanny about this. And he said, as a center back himself, and especially a left-footed center back or left-sided player defensively, he wanted to see the guy grow. And they re-signed Yoshida, who's the captain of their team. Garces came in, who might be the best center back in the league, at least the best recovery speed in the league. We saw that in the final quite a bit. He was injured for quite some time and trying to get into that lineup. It was like, where was Jalen Neal going to play? Like I wanted to see him develop, right? And I don't care, Jimmy, you don't develop on the bench anywhere. I don't care where you're training. You just don't develop. You got to play games. And maybe now that one, I'm excited about that one probably the most of all those moves. I think we know the other moves, like what they're for. Jesus Ferreira is going to score goals in Seattle. It solves a problem for them. Although he might play, Schmetzer has said now he might play as the 9. He might play underneath. Jordan Morris might stay at the 9, who likes playing as the 9, he told us. So he'll have some options there. Paul Arriola, solid player, will give them cover. It's a team that's going to compete in a lot of competitions this year. So the Ferreira move works for actually maybe doesn't work for Dallas, but it works for Seattle for sure. I don't know what's happening at Dallas right now. I don't know if they know the season's starting in like it's 3 weeks. But what were some? Did I miss? Who did I miss?
Luca De La Torre.
Oh yeah. We talked about that
one. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I'm curious. I hope he knows there's no promotion relegation in the league because he's the one that had the quote. So hopefully they explain that to him now. But he'll do just what
he'll
Mikey
probably
Barr
appreciate it because you're an expansion team. It's not an easy going.
Yeah, but he's a starter there, 100% starter. Mikey Varis, we know he likes to play. I don't know that whole roster because a lot of they went digging deep for a lot of those guys. Which is not good or bad. I mean, we'll find out, right? They could be great players and light the league up. But as you mentioned, as an expansion team is never easy. We have some good examples with LA and Atlanta, but those are that's big spending right away. So there's some the Vazquez one I think is pretty straightforward, right? He's going there to score goals. and that's going to determine his national team future. What happens in Austin?
Yeah, no Droyusi, who went back to River Plate. Be interesting to see how they get him the ball consistently, right? And that goes for any of the attacking players. Like, how do you get the ball consistently? How do they play you in good spots to make plays and get goal contributions? So